All right, welcome to the video. Today we're going to be talking about our long run fueling. All right, so full transparency, I was not able to film the morning of the run because my daughter had a birthday party, and so the whole house was full of people, and so I had to sneak out quietly before the run even started. So I was not able to film the morning of the run. So let's talk about the run and fueling and how it all works. So really what you're trying to do is you're trying to practice for what that day looks like on the day of your marathon. Okay, so you're trying to practice all of the different parts, which starts with carb loading before the run. So on a long run on Saturday, you've got to practice a mini carb load on Friday, which for me typically involves a pretty carb heavy lunch and then a smoothie that has lots of carbs in it through bananas and fruit, that kind of stuff. And then for dinner, we typically have a homemade pizza. Now, because of the birthday party, we went to Qdoba and got a lot of rice and a lot of carbs through that way, but typically we make homemade pizza on Friday. All right, so the morning of the long run, if it's above 10 miles, I'm typically going to have a pretty hearty breakfast. And that's going to include some sourdough toast with some butter, maybe some honey on top, as well as a Go bar and also some G1M Sport. If it's below 10, I'm not too worried about it. I typically just have a Go bar and some G1M Sport. Now, for the long distances above 20, so this is your 20, 21, and marathon days, I'm typically having pancakes or bagel or something hearty like that with some peanut butter on it and some honey as well as a Go bar and the G1M Sport as well. So again, this is all things that you want to practice to see how your body reacts, how your body responds to that level of calorie intake, carb intake. Different people respond differently to different foods. You want to get your body used to what this feels like and train it to process that to put it into fuel. All right, let's talk about how to figure out how many gels you're gonna need during your long run. So you're gonna burn about 100 calories per mile that you run. So that's why a lot of guys burn out at about mile 18 or 20 because they've just completely ran out of all their calories and they haven't put enough in. Your body only has stored about 45 minutes, maybe 60 minutes of calories. So you've got to replenish calories throughout your entire run. It's said that you should do it early and do it often so your body has it ready to go when you need it at mile 18, 19, 20. So how do you know what you need? Here's kind of the general breakdown. So for carbs, you're gonna need about 60 to 90 grams per hour. And a lot of the research is beginning to push that number even higher into 100, even 125, even 150. So get those carbs in. For sodium, you're gonna want about 500 to 1500 milligrams for every hour. And for water, you're gonna want about 500 to 1,000 milliliters, which is roughly about 17 to 30 ounces of water. So again, sports drinks are about 90% water, so they do count towards that, but I highly suggest drinking just water and not relying it all through sports drinks. All right, let's talk about during the run, what I'm gonna be eating and drinking. So I'm gonna be doing a couple of things. One, about every 30 minutes or so, which is gonna be around 4 miles or so, I'm gonna eat one of these gels. And then on the other, in between miles, about every 2 miles or so, I'm going to take a salt tablet as well. And I'm also gonna be drinking G1M Sport, or during the marathon, I'm gonna be drinking on course, whatever they have. I often like to carry some G1M Sport or water with me as well. So that way, if I miss a water stop, something like that, I know that I've got it on me as well. So let's talk about how to carry all of this during the long runs, okay? So I normally will wear a water belt. So like this, it's got 2 spots to carry water bottles as well as a little pouch back here. And so what I'll typically do is obviously have my water bottles in here, as well as putting my gels on the side here. And then I also will typically carry my salt tablets back here. and I usually carry that. What you're gonna see in today's run though, because I'm running with a group that provides water stops throughout the entire run, I only needed to carry this right here, as well as my gels in my shorts pockets. So the shorts that I was wearing on the run have elastic little pouches, and so I put my gels in there, I put my salt tablets in my pocket, and then I just carried this one single bottle that has a clip that just goes on, and then I used all of their water stops throughout the run. So that is another great reason why joining a group is fantastic. All right, everybody, get ready. The wild Jeremy, out in the wild, running. It's the elusive Jeremy. All right, mile 4, taking our first gel. I took a salt tablet at mile 2. So mile 4, we're getting into our first gel. All right, mile 6, adding a salt tablet now. One thing I do different in training as opposed to during a marathon, during training, I'll do the salt tablets that I have to have water for. But during a marathon, I'll do the chewables. So that way I can take those whenever I want. I don't have to wait for a water stop. Gel number 2 during marathon pace. So practicing getting my gels out, taking it down at marathon pace. A little bit different than easy pace. Let's go. All right, mile 10. Just took a salt tablet. Got 4 miles to go. We're on right now. All right, so why salt tablets? Well, when it's super humid like today, you're gonna sweat a ton. I'm a heavy sweater, and so I sweat a lot more than a lot of people. But also, just on a humid day, hot day, you're gonna sweat a lot. So that's me just standing here for a couple seconds and I'm dripping sweat. So that salt is going to help replenish a lot of that sodium that you're sweating out. So you got to get that in. So I typically am on the high end of my salt intake. So I try to supplement that with salt tablets. Mile 12, another gel. All right, just wrapped up a 14.5-mile run at an average pace of 8:39 with some 1.5-mile marathon intervals with a half-mile rest in between. Felt great. So now that the run is over, you typically got about 60 minutes to get a high carb meal in. So for me, a lot of times that's going to be some toast, it's going to be some eggs, a lot of times it's going to be a shake, so it's going to be some oats, some mixed berries, protein powder, banana, get that in. And then within about 3 hours, you want to start switching over to some pretty high protein meals, as well as continuing to drink electrolytes, stretching, getting that body ready for some recovery throughout the day. So great job. Thanks for watching. See you next one.